In 2025, when the United States government conducted its census, they discovered something strange was happening in the town of Elberton, Alaska. The town was growing at an unprecedented rate. It went from 433 people in 2020 to 781 in just 5 years. That's almost double the size. And while that's not usually a problem, there was something very strange about these new residents. When the census workers tried to ask them basic questions about their lives, things like where they were born or how old they were, these residents gave responses that didn't make any sense. Some of them said they were born on dates in the future. Others said they were over 100 years old, but seemed completely healthy and energetic for their age. But by far the strangest thing is that 168 of these new residents had the exact same photos, fingerprints, and medical records as they did 30 years ago. And this wasn't just a small group of retirees who'd moved to the area. Almost 1 out of every 4 people in the town seemed to be stuck in some kind of bizarre time warp. And none of them could explain why. The government, of course, was pretty worried about this. But instead of trying to get to the bottom of what was really going on in Elberton, Alaska, they just blamed it on a data error and moved on. But that doesn't make much sense because they didn't have this problem in 2020. And they shouldn't have had this problem in 2030 either. So here's what we think is really going on in Elberton, Alaska. By now, everyone knows that we age in different ways. Some people look older than they are. Others look younger, and we all get sick sometimes. Some of us even have illnesses that shorten our lifespan. So it isn't unusual to have someone who looks to be 10 years younger or older than they actually are. It just happens. But in 2025, the census workers in Elberton, Alaska saw something that they had never seen before. They had 168 people between the ages of 20 and 65 who looked exactly as old as they should. They weren't sick and they weren't injured. They had the exact same photos as they did 30 years ago, and their fingerprints matched too. They all told the census worker that they felt great. And when they asked what year they were born in, they got some weird answers. Some of the residents said they were born in the year 2000 or later, which was obviously impossible since they were obviously adults. And other residents said they were born in the early 1900s, which would make them well over 100 years old. This isn't normal. Something strange was definitely happening in Elberton. Of course, the government could have launched an investigation into what was going on here. Instead, they chose to just write it off as a data error. We don't know why they did this. Maybe they thought it would cause too much of a panic if they admitted something strange was happening in the United States. Or maybe they didn't want to waste the money on solving a mystery that had no real answer. Whatever their reason, they chose to bury this story and cover it up. But some experts say there's a logical explanation for what happened in Elberton. They believe that what happened here is known as the uncanny valley. The uncanny valley is the idea that humans have a hard time dealing with things that look almost human but aren't quite human. For example, there's a point in developing artificial intelligence where the robot starts to look and act like a human being. And the more advanced the AI gets, the creepier it becomes. That's because we can tell it's not a real person, but it looks so close that it makes us uncomfortable. This might be what happened in Alberta. Maybe all these people have something in common. Some kind of advanced technology that made them look artificially young. Whatever the reason, this situation got crazier as the years went on. If you look at the census data from 2030, you'll see that the population of Elberton has doubled again. The town now has a population of 1,562 people. That's 3 times what it was in 2020. Now this is impossible unless something strange is going on in this town. How else could the population double twice in 5 years? There's also a lot of other strange things going on. For example, there's a guy named Harold Scott, who according to the government was born in the year 1883. That means he is 147 years old today. But when the census workers visited his house in 2030, they found that he was alive and well and living in the same home. He told them that he was born in the year 1928, that would make him 95 years old. But when they checked his birth certificate, it said that he was born in 1883. What's going on here? Why does he have 2 different birth certificates? Another strange case is a woman named Edith Gardner. In 2020, The government said she was born in the year 1904, which would make her 126 years old today. But when they checked on her in 2030, they found that she was living in a nursing home. She told them that she was born in the year 1963, which would make her 60 years old. But when they checked her birth certificate, it said that she was born in 1904. There are so many cases like this, and it's getting worse. If you look at the census data, you'll find that there are now 536 people in Elberton who are stuck in the past. They haven't aged in decades, and they have no idea why. All we know is that they're stuck in the town of Elberton, Alaska, and they're not alone. If you ever visit Elberton, you'll find that most of the residents are extremely friendly and welcoming. Their lines tell you that it's a great place to live, and they're happy to call it home. But if you ask them why they never seem to age and how they can remember things that only happened yesterday and 30 years ago, they'll tell you that they don't know. They don't understand it themselves. Some of them say that they feel fine. They feel like they're in their 20s or 30s, and when they look in the mirror, they see a young, healthy person looking back at them. Other residents say that they don't know what's wrong with them. They know they're not aging normally, but they don't know why. And they say that they can't remember anything before 1995. That's right. None of these residents can remember anything before 1995, even though some of them have been in Elberton for decades. That's one of the strangest parts of this mystery. Almost everyone in Elberton says that they've lived there for a long time. They bought property in the 1970s and 80s, but they can't remember anything about those years. They don't know what they were doing or where they were. They just know that they were here. So what's going on in Elberton? Why do these residents not age? Why do they all have the same photos and fingerprints? And why can't they remember anything before 1995? We don't know. It's a mystery that has baffled the government for years. But we do know that there's something special about this town. There's something in the air, something in the water, or maybe something in the soil that's keeping these people from aging. It could be an environmental factor, or maybe a genetic one. But whatever it is, it's only happening in Elberton. We know that because there are cases of people who've left Elberton and returned years later. And when they came back, they noticed that they didn't seem to have aged as much as they should have. For example, there's a woman named Helen Pierce. She moved to Elberton in 1985 and lived there for 10 years. Then she moved away, but in 2015, she moved back. When she came back to Elberton, she noticed that she didn't seem to be aging as fast as she should be. She also noticed that she couldn't remember anything about her time in Elberton from 1985 to 1995. What's going on here? Why do these people not remember their own past? And why do they seem to be stuck in time? We don't know. But it's definitely something to think about the next time you're in Alaska. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to check out more content. Thanks for watching.